You're watching the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
A furious comeback. A frustrating finish. Straight ahead of the Reb Zone, we break down UNLV's wild game against Northern Illinois. Plus, a rebel from north of the border is getting some international attention. Why Brett Boyco is atop a coveted list. And we look ahead to a tough road test in Houston, where the scoreboard operator might get a workout. It's time to pose for the cameras. The Reb Zone is in for the long haul right now.
This is the Fox 5 Reb Zone Sports Show, presented by Born and Raised, the official home of the Rebels on the road.
Welcome inside the Reb Zone after a hard-fought game last night against Northern Illinois. Kevin Bollinger alongside UNLV head football coach Bobby Hauck. And this was one of those games, the momentum swung. It just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah, it was a great game. Obviously, it was a fun game to be a part of. They're more fun when you win them, certainly. But, it was a great football game. We're going to get a chance in the show to talk about the things that we didn't do well enough in order to come away from the win. But it's a good football team we played. It was a heck of a game. The gist of it probably is we can't be getting down by 23 and having to come back and tie it from 23 down.
Well, right from the get-go, you could tell that the Rebels were focused in this game and they were ready to play against the Huskies.
Win on three, 1, 2, 3, win! Yeah, it's on, baby! Backers on 3, 1, 2, 3! Backers!
The Rebels received the opening kickoff and were out of the gate quickly. Keith Whiteley returned the kick to the 42 for great starting field position. Then Blake Decker went to work to Taylor Barnhill for 9 yards and a first down in Northern Illinois territory. And downfield to Devontae Davis for 31 yards at the 10. 2 plays later, Decker to Davis for what appears to be a touchdown, but the official rules him out of bounds. Watch the replay. Davis has clear possession with his torso in bounds. No replay was ever initiated, and UNLV had to settle for a Jonathan Leyva 25-yard field goal in a 3-0 lead. On Northern Illinois' first possession, they drove down the field and went 76 yards in 15 plays, capped by this 5-yard touchdown run by Cameron Stingley, and it was 7-3. Special teams came into play later in the quarter. Rebel punter Logan Yunker with the great punt and perfect downfield coverage pins the Huskies on the Rebel 1. That was huge because on the first play, the Huskies are called for a chop block while the quarterback was in the end zone. That's a safety, and the deficit was cut to 7-5, which would be the score at the end of the first. Northern Illinois would get back on the board after another long drive, 80 yards and 14 plays. On 3rd and 10 from the 12, Drew Hare hits Keith Harris for the touchdown to make it 14-5. The Rebels drove the ball down the field. This catch and run by Shaq Murray-Lawrence got the ball down to the 16, but the drive stalled and UNLV came up empty after Leyva misses a 33-yard field goal wide right. Just before the half, Northern Illinois struck again. On 2nd and 9 at the 10, Hare finds Jawan Bresserson in the back of the end zone. The Huskies score 14 unanswered and take a 21-5 lead into the locker room.
I want to start with that pass to Devontae Davis on the first drive in the end zone. Those replays clearly show that it was a touchdown. I know it's a fine line in terms of you talking about the officiating, but that was your first chance to get a good look at that.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. Our film is high up, and we don't get that same look. But that view clearly shows he was in, and I don't know how they missed it, but they missed some, and it's a shame they missed that one.
At what point do you consider using your challenge in that instance? Obviously, they're supposed to all be reviewed upstairs, but once you're clear that they're not going to.
Yeah, that's a great question. Now, every single play in college football is reviewed. Now, how many cameras are looking at it and from what angles depends on the TV broadcast. So in terms of the numbers for coaches at challenge, it's like 97% against if you challenge, because they're looking at it. So that play's being reviewed upstairs. Obviously, the replay official, who knows what he saw? I don't know what he was looking at. I don't know what his camera view was, but it certainly wasn't that one that you guys had.
And we've talked a lot over the last year and a half about the importance of the program building up to get those consistent games on the bigger networks to where they do have more cameras and more angles. Not only do the fans get to see more games on TV, but it also eliminates maybe issues like that.
Yeah, I mean, that play should be a touchdown, and it's not, and that's too bad. But those guys are doing their best with what they have, and that's really a shame, though.
Shaq Murray-Lawrence got the start at running back, out of the doghouse, if you will, what the media at least we've been talking about. What does he bring to the table, and why decide to start him in this game?
Well, he's a good player. We felt like he was most prepared to have a good game at running back in this game, so we started him, and he did a nice, generally speaking, did a pretty nice job in the game.
He had hit and miss with the special teams in the first half. The punt and the coverage by Junker that pinned them deep that led to the safety, obviously a big highlight. The missed field goal where you came up empty on that possession.
Yeah, we had a big return to start the game. We set up a score with the punt that we're looking at right now. We want our kickers to be 100%. They're not going to be. It's too bad we didn't make that one, of course.
Tackling still an issue, not as bad as we saw in the Arizona game to open the season, but other teams are getting a lot of yards after initial contact.
Yeah, I thought we tackled pretty well. I mean, they've got some good ball carriers. The big guy here is 252 or 256 pounds, and the mistake is not getting to the point of attack and missing him. It's trying to tackle him up about the shoulder pads. And our guys were coached all week to tackle that guy low, and if you see a guy tackling him up around the shoulder pads, I mean, he's dead wrong. So we need to do a better job of going low on those big guys.
Well, the Rebels needed a big comeback in the second half. That's exactly what happened in a wild 30 minutes of football.
Northern Illinois had the ball to open the second half and put together another long drive. 75 yards in 10 plays, with Hare capping it with this 12-yard touchdown run on 3rd and 4. It was 28-5, but it became clear very quickly that the Rebels would not fold. Starting at their own 25, Decker started the drive with a 17-yard pass to Davis. Later, Decker goes to Devontae Boyd for 17 more down to the Husky 26. On the next play, off play action, Decker across the field to Davis, who breaks a tackle and races to the corner of the end zone. It was 28-12. After a Northern Illinois field goal made it 31-12, the UNLV offense went back to work. A roughing the kicker penalty on a punt kept the O on the field. Decker found Kendall Keys for a 16-yard gain to get some breathing room. Then the big play. Davis gets a step on the DB. Decker leads him down the field, and Big D is off to the races, 53 yards. The touchdown, moving him into a tie for 4th all-time at UNLV for touchdowns. More importantly, it cut the lead to 31-19 with 4:44 left in the third quarter. It was the defense's time to step up, and they did just that. The Huskies fumble, and senior Jordan Sparkman is right there to pick it up and return it to the 10-yard line. A couple of Shaq Murray-Lawrence rushes got it to the 1 for a 4th and goal situation, and Shaq slam dunks it into the end zone. 2 touchdowns in just over 2 minutes. And heading into the fourth quarter, the Rebels were down 5 at 31-26. Northern Illinois had the ball on the Rebel 19, 3rd and 12, and Sparkman came up big again. The huge tackle forces the Huskies to settle for a field goal and keep the game within 1 possession. The offense got the ball back and continued to move. 3rd and 7, Decker scrambles and throws across his body to Micah Mataele for the first down. 3 plays later, Decker goes long for freshman Kendall Keys, and he hauls it in 41 yards down the field to the 9. On the next play, Shaq weaves his way into the end zone to cut the lead to 2. So the Rebels go for 2. And watch Devontae Davis, the one-handed grab in the corner. We were tied at 34 with 9:18 to go, and Sam Boyd was buzzing. But the defense couldn't get a stop. The Huskies go long ball, and Hare hits Deron Brown. 54 yards for the score, 65 yards in 55 seconds, and Northern Illinois was back on top by 7. There was no quit in the Rebels. Decker finds Boyd for 19 yards down to the 7-yard line as UNLV was poised to tie things back up. But Decker's next pass to Davis in the end zone is deflected, and Marlon Moore makes a nice play for the pick. The Huskies shoot up 80 yards in 3.5 minutes to seal the game up with a late touchdown by Stingley. A valiant effort by UNLV, but a loss nonetheless, as the Rebels fall to Northern Illinois 48-34.
Certainly the biggest takeaway for fans, and I'm sure yourself, is the offense got its mojo back in the second half.
Yeah, we played well. We had 500 yards last night in a loss, but it was good to see us go down the field. It was good to see us, after not succeeding in the red zone the first half, to get it in the end zone. Obviously their guys made a pretty outstanding play on that interception, or it's going to be tied 41-41 or 41-41. It would have been a real exciting finish had we completed that drive. But there's some good signs. I don't think we've played our best yet. And, it was the best we played to date last night, and hopefully it shades of good things to come.
There are red zone issues on both sides of the ball. UNLV 3 of 5 in the red zone. Northern Illinois 6 of 6 in the red zone last night.
Yeah, you got to score when you get down there, and you got to find a way to stop them or hold them with field goals.
And here's a big stat that really jumped out, I think, is Northern Illinois 15 of 19 on third down conversions. You're not going to win a lot of games when you see something like that.
Well, and our offense first half was not very good in third down either. So something we addressed with our team after the game and said, when we're working those situations, we got to really be tuned in. And I don't think that's the case that we aren't, but we need to succeed in those. Those are critical situations. 2-minute third down red zone. Fourth quarter games, those are the critical situations, and we need to succeed there.
We're just getting started here in the Reb Zone. Up next, we have post-game reaction from the players, and we take a closer look at the impact that senior offensive lineman Brett Boyco has on the team and what his prospects are for playing at the next level. Sit tight. We're back in just 2 minutes.
You're watching the Fox 5 Reb Zone Sports Show, presented by Born and Raised, the official home of the Rebels on the road.
I'm not huge on moral victories. I think you come out, you play football to win. You don't. I mean, we can take a look at what we did well, and there's things to build on. But it's frustrating not pulling that out in the end.
Losing hurts. So we just got to start better in order to. We finished well, but we got to be able to start. We can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot.
We just got to work on finishing. We played two good downs. We get out there, and it's a bunch of people missing individual assignments sometimes. So we just got to get back, practice, and just finish drives because we're a good 2 out of 3 plays out there.
We could definitely build off this game. We got down in the red zone. We weren't able to put points on the board, but we were able to move the ball down the field, so those are good signs.
Last year, the third game of the season against Central Michigan was considered the big swing game of the year. That's when the Rebels made the big comeback. Caleb Herring went in and played the second half, replacing Nick Sherry, and then, of course, the rest is history going to the bowl game. The comeback wasn't completed last night, but could this third game of the season with the second half performance be the big momentum swing to get things back on track?
Well, I think the key for us is playing. I've spoken numerous times about this. The key for us is playing well throughout a whole game. We didn't feel like we performed up to our capabilities in the first 2 games. Last night we in stretches played very, very well. Now we've got to continue to put it together and play well throughout the game. If we do that, we're going to have a chance to win some games. But I kind of feel like it's coming together for us. And the beauty of it is we get to go this week and go to the University of Houston and see if we can't get our second win on the road.
Well, more on that game in just a few minutes. We want to talk first about one of the anchors and leaders of this UNLV football team, both on and off the field. It's senior offensive lineman Brett Boyco. Now, Boyco is a 4-year starter at left tackle. He was a unanimous preseason All-Mountain West player as well as being on numerous watch lists for being the best at his position. Earlier this week, the Saskatoon, Saskatchewan native named the #1 eligible prospect for the 2015 Canadian Football League draft, which only lists players from north of the border. And oh, by the way, he has a huge NFL future as well. Even with all the accolades, though, Boyco just enjoying this ride.
I'm definitely honored, but I mean, I know that it's just a prospect. You know, it's nothing for certain, and I know that, you know, if the more I can help UNLV win, the better position I'll be in for myself. So right now, you know, I'm just focused on UNLV.
This is a guy that's going to play at the next level. And as a coach, I know you like having somebody who's consistent, especially guarding that blind side.
Well, he's a good-looking tackle. You know, he moves well. He's got a big frame. He's long-armed. He's a prospect. You know, he being a Canadian, he could probably play in the CFL as long as he wants to play. But I think he has his you know, on his goal board, it's to play in the NFL first. And you know, he's done a lot of good things. He's a 4-year starter and played pretty dang well. And I still think his best football's ahead of him.
We're definitely going to keep an eye on him, number 69, if you're watching the games at home or in the stadium, something inside the game to keep an eye on. A couple of weeks ago, UNLV Athletics launched a new game day app for fans to get an enhanced experience no matter where you are. The UNLV Game Day app has live game audio, Instagram and Twitter feeds, all the game day information you need to know, along with stats, scores from around the country, and weather updates. It's a way for Rebel fans to be as connected as they've ever been.
And the nice thing about this app is it brings everything into one app. They no longer have to have an app for this or an app for that, but everything all of our fans have been asking for are in one place.
UNLV's Game Day app can be downloaded in the Apple iTunes and Google Play stores, and best of all, it's free. It is time to start taking a closer look at the next game, and it is a tough road trip. The Rebels head to Houston to take on the Cougars. We'll pinpoint some of the things to look for as the Reb Zone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 Reb Zone Sports Show, presented by Born and Raised, the official home of the Rebels on the road.
It is time for the Rebels to hit the road. A tough and interesting matchup awaits as UNLV travels to Houston for a Saturday night tilt. This isn't the Houston team that you remember from past years. The Cougars are in the midst of a little bit of an identity change.
When you think Houston, you think offense, lots of points, and an aerial show. In fact, since 2006, Houston has more total yards gained than any other team in Division I college football. But fourth-year head coach Tony Levine has worked to beef the Cougars up defensively. And this year, they have 9 returning defensive starters.
I think nationally and traditionally we've been more known for what we do on the offensive side of the football, but I think in 1 year's time, people are talking to me as much about our defense as anything.
That doesn't mean Houston doesn't still like to air it out. Their offense so far this year has relied heavily on the pass. The Cougars average only 86 rushing yards a game, among the worst in the country. But they do have a talented set of wide receivers and a sophomore quarterback in John O'Corn, who packed on more than 25 pounds of muscle in the offseason and can be dangerous.
I think we've got a lot of talent around him offensively, so I think his decision-making is going to be very, very important. He's got all the tools physically. He's got great accuracy, great arm strength, and I think getting us in and out of good plays, making good decisions where he's distributing the football, and I think is going to be key.
In 3 games this season for O'Corn, 4 is the magic number. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 4 sacks. Houston did give BYU some struggles last Thursday night in Provo. The Rebels' defensive backs will be tested, and the line needs to get pressure on O'Corn, or this could turn into a good old-fashioned Texas shootout.
Well, we know that Houston's going to throw the football. For the defense to look at that, it's going to put a little more pressure, obviously, on your defensive backs in this game.
Yeah, and they've had to give up on the run a little bit, scoring their games as they've gotten behind, and it's had to dictate a little bit that they throw it maybe a little more than they'd like. So they're going to run it some. I think their preference is to use these wide receivers that look like human highlight films. And they're going to get the ball in their hands some way, somehow, and the quarterback can do it. So we'll have our hands full certainly defensively, and I'm really impressed with their linebackers as well.
This was the game that was added on when it looked like UNLV would not be going to a bowl game, but it's also long-term, maybe an important game for the Rebels recruiting. You've had a lot of success in the Houston area. Assistant coach Cedric Cormier has done a good job at bringing some talent, and I know you'll have some potential recruits keeping an eye on this game in Houston.
Yeah, we have had and do have some good players on our roster from the state of Texas, and specifically the Houston area. We've had some really good players, and it'll be good for them to be able to go home and play. And hindsight's easy in terms of scheduling and all that. So we're excited to go down there and play against a really fast, talented Houston team.
Well, we're not done yet here in the Reb Zone. The plays of the week are straight ahead. But first, here's a look at how other Mountain West teams did over the weekend.
You're watching the Fox 5 Reb Zone Sports Show, presented by Born and Raised, the official home of the Rebels on the road.
Long way to go. We're only 3 games into the season, but this 3-game stretch here of road games is critically important overall to the season.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row. The road is our home. The next 3 weeks, we're going to be back home for a month. The next home game certainly will be a great big Friday night national TV game against Fresno State, but we have some work to do on the road. We've got to go and get after it and find some ways to win some games, and I think we're capable. But those are just words. We have to go do it.
All right, we're going to be in Houston, and we're going to break down this game next Sunday. Thanks for joining us inside the Reb Zone. Good night.
Fox 5's Reb Zone Sports Show was presented by Born and Raised, the official home of the Rebels on the road.